So, the Nintendo Switch, it's a system that I like a lot. I like its design, I like playing it on the go. But when you're playing on the go, sometimes you don't have that much time to devote to a massive game. Sometimes you just want something you can play within 5 or 10 minutes and be satisfied while you're on the bus or on the train or whatever. And while it's nice having the physical game cartridges, those nice little things, sometimes you just need something you can get in and get out really quick, and that's why we have download games. So today we're going to be looking at some download games I have on my Nintendo Switch that may or may not be worth checking out, so let's take a look. First up is a pour of one of my favorite games, PacMan Championship Edition 2+, aka the game with the really long name. Okay, it's not that long, but you get the point. It's PacMan on crack. No longer an endless arcade game. Now, PacMan is broken down into nice 5-minute game sessions where you have to rack up massive amounts of points. It's fast, it's fun, it's addicting. There are many ways to play PacMan Championship Edition 2. There's a story mode, there's various challenges, there's tutorials. It's a very addicting game, and it's perfect for a handheld system. I gave PacMan Championship Edition 2 a full in-depth review when it first dropped on PS4 back in 2016, so you could go check out that review if you want, and you totally should, because that review is pretty lit, if I say so myself. Well, if you already bought it on PS4 like I did, what's the point of buying it again on the Switch? Well, this time there's the new Plus mode. It's a 2-player PacMan mode where PacMan and a friend as Blue PacMan. Why it isn't missed PacMan by default, I do not know. Team up to eat dots, fruits, and ghosts. Once all the dots are gone, both PacMan have to ram into each other face first to pop each other's fruits. Well, that's a thing. For ghosts, one player has to hold the ghost in place while the other PacMan goes in from the rear to take it out. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get my head out of the gutter now. The point is, PacMan with 2 players is actually a lot of fun. Granted, I'm playing with a CPU here, so actually get a friend. Might I recommend just bribing your friend with some alcohol or some Red Bull, or just kidnapping them? Even though I do like the Plus mode, I don't find it as addicting as the standard mode, as I just like the instant gratification that standard Championship Edition 2 gives as opposed to the 2-player mode. Still, it is a very solid addition to this game, and if you really enjoyed PacMan Championship Edition 2 initially, I think it's worth buying again just for this mode. PacMan Championship Edition 2 was one of my picks for Game of the Year back in 2016, along with other weird titles like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Gunvolt 2, King of Fighters, Shantae. I had a weird top 5 that list, probably the most unique of any YouTuber. But the point is though, this game is pretty radical. There are a few minor technical issues. I did notice a little bit of slowdown, nothing too major, but it should be worth noting. Hopefully Namco can fix this with a patch and make this the definitive version of PacMan Championship Edition 2 Plus. Zero Gunner 2 was originally a game for the arcades and the almighty Sega Dreamcast in Japan. And it's a bit of an obscure one at that. I don't hear many fans in the Dreamcast community talking about this title, but it's a shame because this is a really good one. And it's a really expensive one on the Dreamcast, but thankfully, it's here digitally on the Nintendo Switch. And it's a really good shooting game. You pick one of 3 different kinds of helicopters and you just run around and shoot everything that moves. Zero Gunner 2's claim to fame is that you can move the chopper around 360 degrees and shoot all around. With that in mind, the camera can move in any direction, not just limited to a straight horizontal or straight vertical plane. That goes for the bad guys who could come from any direction. Thankfully, touching an enemy won't kill you, which is fairly unique for this genre. In fact, you can actually kill all bad guys just by running the blades right into them. Yeah, pro tip for life from Zero Gunner 2. If you're ever in a dogfight with a helicopter, just, run your helicopter blades into the bastard. You'll be fine, but they'll be dead. But just one bullet to the hull of your helicopter and boom, it's going to explode and you're dunzos. That's how real life works, everybody. There are 3 helicopters to choose from, each with different standard shots that can be upgraded. Picking up those nifty green E cubes, or I don't think they're cubes, E shapes bad guys drop will fill up the special gauge that will allow players to use a droid for a bit of time to help out in battle. Pro tip: save these for the boss battles. You do not want to drag out these boss battles. Also, the E shapes fly towards you when you're not shooting, so there is some strategy involved when to shoot and when to cease fire to power up. Zero Gunner 2 It's a fairly short game, it's an arcade game after all, and most levels last, I don't know, less than 5 minutes, and the whole game can be cleared in less than 30. That said though, it is a very solid arcade shooter, and one that is a lot more forgiving than the bullet hell style shooters that are so popular. So, if you're a fan of the Dreamcast, check it out. Now we're getting into some new stuff. Transcripted is an indie twin-stick shooting puzzle game by Alchemy. You play as a dude who's about to put his hair into a man bun, piloting a small nanomachine trying to fix DNA by shooting colored bricks into it. I don't think genetics or immunology work that way, but we'll roll with it. There's a DNA strand, and the goal is to match blocks to fill the gauge at the top of the screen. You get the blocks by shooting down the various molecules that float around the arena. Now, whenever you try to make one of these games that are two distinct genres, what usually happens is one of the genres will be really good, while the other half will be rather lacking. See Sonic Unleashed trying to blend beat-em-ups and platforming in one game, and only got half of that right. Thankfully, in Transcripted, they got the balance down just right. Neither the shooting nor the puzzling is harder than it needs to be. They're both very simple conceptually. It's just that when you have to balance both, it actually makes for one of the more intense games I've ever played. And for those who are good at one of these styles of gaming but not so good at the other, you can actually customize your play experience. So if you really want a bullet hell style shooter but a very easy puzzle experience, you can do that. Same goes for vice versa. While Transcripted isn't the most visually pleasing of games on the Switch, it does what it needs to do. The plot, on the other hand, is really dramatic to the point of just being downright cheesy, and I love it, even though I stopped caring about it. But thankfully, the gameplay holds it up. So if you're looking for something different, something a bit blue, dabu dee dabu die dabu, check out Transcripted. It's pretty fun. Okay, now we're getting into weird territory with North, the cheapest game on this list at a measly $2.99. Well, game might be a bit of a stretch. This is more of an interactive art experiment than a game. It's a walking simulator. Think of games like Dear Esther, Gone Home, or the Stanley Parable, but this time on the Nintendo Switch. You gotta give the developers credit for the style they achieved in North. It's very dark, the characters are freaky, the environments tell a lot of the story through just pure visuals, and the music seems straight out of Trent Reznor's worst nightmares. And what the heck is up with this work environment? Wait, I died. North is a game that is meant to unsettle you, take the player out of their comfort zone. There is no pause or save, so you gotta clear everything in one go. It's cryptic, and you always think there's a jump scare waiting around the corner that never comes. No, there's no jump scares this episode. Nada. You can rest easy knowing that I'm not going to be that douchebag who puts in random jump scares into their episode, alright? Alright? Cool, so take it easy. Just relax and enjoy the show. I won't spoil anything here, but I think it gets the point across that religion and alcohol are bad, guys. A common criticism I've heard with some of these walking simulator games is that they don't like to involve the player. They're just a moving camera. To North's credit, it actually does involve the player in the story. There are things happening, you're a solving puzzle, the plot revolves around you as this unseen protagonist. Yeah, these nuts have been seen in your mouth. North is a game that isn't for everybody, but for the price of admission, it might be worth taking a risk on. Last up is a Japan-only title, ZMan Show Shinobi Replay, a massaging simulator. It's called a dating sim, but that would need stuff like, a dialogue tree. Here, you just massage Asuka from ZMan Show, that's all. Obviously, being a kick-ass ninja who does a lot of fighting, does a lot of acrobats, carrying a lot of weapons around with her, she might get sore from time to time. But instead of going to a chiropractor or walking around Dotonbori at 1 o'clock in the morning, she comes to us, her trusty classmates, to give her a massage and make her feel better. This is the only game on this list that requires the dual Joy-Con setup, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Gameplay involves trying to understand what Asuka is saying, but if you're playing this game, you probably don't care. She sticks out her hands, then you rub her hands, okay? Then she goes into a dreamlike state where she changes outfits and backgrounds, then you get access to her full body. And then when you do that, you go for the climax and then you feel like a pervert. If you own a Silk anime shirt, then do I have the game for you. Now, what kind of person owns a Silk anime t-shirt. Shit. Really, this is just a guessing game where her favorite spots are. Does she want her thighs rubbed, or does she want her shoulders to be massaged? Does she want her middle finger rubbed or her thumb? And while you use the analog sticks to move your hands around, that works fine enough. Some douchebag thought pressing the analog sticks down should be the way where you actually initiate a massage. Like, why that? That's so awkward. Pressing down the analog stick should be used for stuff like, I don't know, resetting the camera, not a basic action that you need to play the goddamn game. It's like playing Super Mario Odyssey if you had to use the right analog stick to jump by pressing it down. That would be really annoying, really fast. Okay, so we got our dual Joy-Cons up. We use this for the climax place. I don't think it's called climax, but it might as well be. You can do several things to her, for her own comfort obviously, like slap her thighs or use a massage roller. You can use the Joy-Cons here to replicate the same movements. Slapping her thighs works well enough, but screw me if I couldn't figure out how the massage roller works. It just did not work with the motion controls. Thankfully, you can use the analog stick and buttons if you so choose. So, get done with one scenario, then rinse and repeat. There's a good amount of cosmetics to unlock, and there's even a DLC character if you so choose. Shinobi Replay is a bizarre game, and something that Samurai Kagura fans would want, but is something that just has no appeal in the United States. I'm going to guess this title didn't sell all that well, as the new title, Samurai Kagura Burst Renewal, is sadly missing the Nintendo Switch. Do I recommend Shinobi Replay? Yeah, I guess, for a laugh. Samurai Kagura is Japanese only right now, with no Western release in sight, so if you're gonna buy this game, do keep that in mind. But chances are, if you are going to buy this game, you either already know Japanese, or you don't care and you're just here for the goods. That, of course, is dressing up Asuka. Yeehaw. Yeah, there are some fun download games to check out on your Nintendo Switch if you so desire. A lot of great games out there. Nintendo's been also doing a really good job of making sure there's games on the eShop when there's games not necessarily coming out at retail. So if you're looking for some new games on your Switch, like new original titles, maybe check out the eShop. You might find some, hidden gems on there. Or you might find some weird stuff like Samurai Kagura. But yeah, that's really all I have to add for this episode. So thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next episode of The ZMan Show. We'll be taking a look at Attack on Titan 2 next week, or more specifically, Shingeki no Kyojin 2, because I'm going to be playing the Japanese version. Okay? Okay, maybe I'll piss off some more anime dorks next week by calling it a cartoon. That's right, everybody. All anime, they're cartoons. So I'll see you next week, everybody.